Welcome back to No Dumb Questions, the Insurify podcast about straight talk on coverage, claims, and savings. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Julia. And today's question, can I get no deposit car insurance?
Yeah, we've all seen some ads promising very cheap car insurance, no deposit required, but is it too good to be true?
Today, we'll explain what no deposit really means, how payments work, the legit ways to lower your upfront costs, and how to avoid getting scammed.
For sure. Let's get into it.
Okay, here are the key terms you need to know to understand before you shop.
Yes, so we're going to talk about deposit and your down payment. So these are the first payments that activate your policy. It's often your first month's premium and sometimes like a processing fee. True, no deposit doesn't exist for legitimate car insurance policies. You have to put down some money for an insurance company to take on your risk.
Exactly. And risk, that is another term that you will hear a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get insurance of any kind, really, the insurance company assumes a financial risk. Mm-hmm. Risk being that if you get into an accident, they have to pay out a lot of money. So you pay your monthly premium, which helps offset that risk. And when you sign up, you have to pay for your first month for the insurance company to agree to take on the risk of insuring you.
Right. So some examples here, and every insurance company evaluates risk differently. Cough, cough, compare. Compare quotes. That being said, in general, you're considered lower risk if you have a clean driving record, you're an older adult with experience, you drive a car with high safety ratings, you live in a suburb with low congestion, and in most states, you have a strong credit history.
Yes. Okay.
In general, you're considered higher risk if you have an at-fault accident, a DUI, or speeding ticket on your record. You're younger, like you're in your teens because you have less experience. You drive a fancy sports car. You live in a congested city. And in some states, you have poor credit history. So every insurance company evaluates your risk differently, and you don't have to have all of these qualities to be considered high or low risk. These are just some common qualities that insurance companies consider.
Exactly. Yes. Like you were just saying, so that connects to kind of this core idea of rating factors. Every insurance company considers different factors, but they also consider those factors differently, if that makes sense. So like how much a specific factor affects your rates will vary between insurers, which is why we really recommend comparing quotes. So basically, insurance companies consider your driving history, your age, your gender, where you live, even like down to the street, the zip code, right?
Yes.
The type of car you drive. And like we were saying, in most states, your credit history. And all of these factors affect how much your initial deposit will cost and just your policy in general.
Yes. The next terms you're going to see are premium and policy term. So your premium is the cost of your auto insurance, and then the policy term is the length of your policy. So really common ones are 6 or 12 months. And you can pay your premium in monthly installments, or you can pay it in full when you sign up. That's going to be cheaper because you're going to get a discount for paying in full typically. But that is a big expense to pay up front. So, a lot of people do pay in monthly installments. I do. So when you sign a 6-month policy, your insurer divides that total premium into 6 monthly payments. And then if you want to activate your policy, you'll have to put down your first month's payment, aka your deposit.
Yes. So a few other terms are installment plan and fees. So paying monthly or biweekly is your installment, quote unquote. Sometimes there are small fees. They include like a few bucks for processing fees, but this is not a huge chunk of change, those fees, right? And often signing up for auto pay or going paperless can earn small discounts that even help offset those.
Yeah, like for my insurance, it has like a 99-cent processing fee because I'm on auto pay, So that's just kind of how it is.
Exactly.
All right. So now that we're familiar with these terms, let's get into no deposit car insurance.
Okay, Sarah. So can you get no deposit car insurance? Short answer is no.
No.
So legit policies do require some initial payment to start your coverage.
Yeah, the deposit exists to activate your policy. It ensures that the first month is paid and protects your insurer from immediate non-payment or cancellation risks. And like if you get into an accident in month 1, you're covered,
Exactly. So where kind of no deposit ads come from is a lot of, more marketing language for low down payment or start for $10 today. But then you have to still pay the full monthly payment.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to just think about here that these are usually kind of semantics. They're just words. They're trying to get your attention. There's no additional money down besides your first month payment.
Mm-hmm.
And if a company is promising true no deposit car insurance, read the fine print, please.
Yes.
And check customer reviews and just research the company. Definitely, be wary, be aware, just double check that you are going to get the coverage that you are signing up for.
That you're looking for. Yeah. So obviously we want to know how to shrink our upfront costs without going uninsured because driving without insurance is illegal.
Yes.
So the misconception of no deposit car insurance may come from the differences in your down payment amounts among different companies and different drivers. So to figure this out, you want to compare 3 to 5 car insurance quotes because each insurer prices your risk differently. For example, your renewal payment can change up or down. So if you turn 25, your premium is probably going to go down because that's the age when insurers see that you have a little bit more experience and they'll start charging a little bit less. But if you cause an accident, your insurer probably wants a larger down payment to offset the risk. So your level of risk has changed either up or down, but there's not necessarily any hidden fees. Every insurance company evaluates risk differently. So, compare those multiple quotes to see if you can get anything cheaper from somewhere else.
Exactly. And definitely look into payment flexibility. There are a lot of different insurers doing different things with this out there, right? So you could pay monthly, you could pay every other week, you can pay on auto pay, you can go paperless, you can pay every 6 months, you can pay every 12 months. If you want to really lock in that discount and then just kind of set it and forget it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some companies offer a lower down payment if you choose more frequent installments.
Yeah. And then another option is to choose a higher deductible. So this is if you have collision and comprehensive insurance and your full coverage. So you can choose a higher deductible, but make sure that you can afford it out of pocket. Your deductible is the amount that you have to pay when you file a claim before your insurance company kicks in. So adjust your coverages thoughtfully. Liability insurance doesn't require a deductible. So, check between your liability and full coverage, review if you need those coverages.
Yes. And stack discounts. Ask about them, research them, truly leaving money on the table if you don't kind of really look into those because you might already qualify them. You don't have to do anything in.
Yeah.
They're just there.
Yeah. And then there's some special policy types and the availability on these really varies. So there's short-term policies. These are very, very new. They range from 3-day to weekly to monthly. It's best if you rarely drive, but it's very risky because of lapses in coverage and inconsistent coverage. And like I said, this is pretty rare. It's a very new concept in the insurance world. A more common one is pay per mile. So with pay per mile coverage, you pay a very low monthly base rate plus a per mile charge. And it's really good for low mileage drivers. So every situation is different. But if you drive less than the national average, I think it's 12,000 miles a year. If you drive less than that, then pay per mile could be a really good option.
Yes. You know what? I think I'm ready to answer some common questions.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's get into it, Julia. Why do insurers require a deposit?
So insurers require a deposit because it activates the policy and ensures the first month is paid. It basically binds the contract.
Can I use a credit card to pay for the deposit?
Yes, I would think so. Many insurers accept cards, and often you can get a discount for signing up for auto pay or going paperless, and definitely try to pay statements on time to avoid any interest.
Yeah. Are there any states with true no deposit car insurance?
No, there are not any states with no deposit car insurance. It is worth noting that every state except New Hampshire requires you to have a minimum amount of insurance, which is going to be that state minimum liability coverage, not full coverage that we've been talking about.
Yeah. How can I lower my deposit?
Great question, Sarah. So we definitely recommend comparing quotes because, like we've said, every insurer rates risk differently and rates your risk differently.
Yes.
Try to avoid lapses in coverage because that can show insurers your higher risk and that can lead to higher rates. Drive safe for everybody, but keeping a clean record also helps keep your rates down because then you are a lower risk driver to your insurer. Consider a higher deductible that will lower your monthly payment, but increase the amount you have to pay out of pocket. So definitely make sure you've got that in the bank before you do that. And always ask about billing options and discounts. apply what you can, find the thing that works for you. There are lots of different ways you can do this.
Will I get a refund if I cancel my insurance policy early?
Ooh, maybe. So if you paid in full at the beginning of your policy period, you may get a refund minus the fees. If you cancel in the middle of the month, maybe minus fees, always minus fees.
Yeah.
But it definitely does vary by insurance company. So that's something you could ask for in the sign-up process, or if you're ever curious, reach out and they'll let you know.
Yeah. And, don't drive uninsured. It's illegal. So make sure you have another insurance company lined up.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for calling that out.
Yeah. Is it better to pay monthly or in full?
That really depends on you and your cash flow. It's not one size fits all, as we've been saying. So paying in full is usually cheaper because you can get a discount. I pay every 6 months for my car insurance. And because insuring my super old car is relatively cheap, I can afford to make that payment out of pocket and then kind of forget about it for 6 months. But that's not the case for everyone. And that is totally fine. So there are discounts you can look at. It can help you avoid monthly processing fees if you pay in a big sum. But again, it's just going to come down to what works for you and your money and your budget. So if monthly is what works for you, pay monthly.
Yeah.
Set up auto pay. You'll probably get a discount for that.
Yeah. Monthly works for me. I definitely couldn't pay up front. So.
Yeah, there you go.
What if I can't afford the deposit today?
If you can't afford the deposit today, you can't really afford car insurance. Yeah. That might be tough. But we really, I guess, want to emphasize, don't drive uninsured. It's illegal. And even in New Hampshire, where insurance isn't required, they still have requirements pertaining to
self-insurance.
Self-insurance, exactly. So it's not totally live free or die, New Hampshire. Okay. But yes, so really make sure not to drive uninsured. And if you can't afford that kind of larger sum, even if it's just a monthly payment, explore maybe those lower down payment options, like those more flexible policies, pay per mile policies, which if you're in a pinch really might be a good fit if you don't know that you're going to need a policy for super long or whatever. So yeah, don't drive uninsured, but there are still options. Just look into it and definitely compare quotes.
All right. After this quick break, we'll be back to go over some myths and facts.
Julia, are you tired of paying too much for your car insurance?
Yeah, who isn't?
Well, here's the straight talk. With Insurify, you can compare quotes from over 120 top insurance companies, all in one place. And you could save up to $1,100 a year, and it only takes about 10 minutes.
No phone calls? No hidden fees? It's 100% online and it's completely free?
Yep. Insurify has already helped more than 10 million people compare, including us. Now it's your turn to see how much you could save.
Click the link in the description to get started today.
Okay, I think it's time to get into a little bit of the myth versus fact of all of this no deposit car insurance stuff, because, oh my goodness, it can get confusing.
It can get confusing.
This is a lot.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to hit you with some cues. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Okay, myth or fact? No deposit car insurance means I pay nothing up front.
Unfortunately, myth. Legit coverage requires at least a first payment.
Right, and that could just be the monthly payment.
Could just be the monthly.
Exactly. All right, myth or fact? My credit history has no impact on upfront costs.
So this is a myth in many states. Only a handful of states don't allow insurers to use your credit history. So basically what they do is they take your credit history and they create a credit-based insurance score that can influence your rate and initial payment. Some studies show that drivers with poor credit history are more likely to submit a claim. That's why they factor in credit.
Yes. Just so everyone knows, it's not what they call like a hard pull on credit. It doesn't affect your credit score to like get multiple quotes, for example, for car insurance. So just it's low stakes when we talk about this. And credit-based insurance scores, they do include your credit history, but it's broader than just like a credit card. It's like your repayment, your debt. There's a lot of different factors that go into that. So just a little bit of a fun-ish fact for this process. Okay, cool. All right. Myth or fact? You can get affordable car insurance without paying in full.
Definitely fact. So even if you don't get the pay in full discount, you can still get discounts for plenty of other things. So it's still possible to get affordable insurance that you pay for monthly or biweekly.
All right. Myth or fact? if I can't pay the deposit, I can drive for a few days without insurance.
This is a big myth. Driving uninsured is super illegal. And if you get caught driving uninsured, it will really spike your rates. So please do not drive uninsured.
Not worth it. Yeah. All right. Myth or fact? Some ads saying no deposit are misleading.
I would consider this a fact. It's often marketing language for a lower down payment, but it's really the first month's premium, not just like free coverage.
Exactly. Okay. I think it's time we make a listener action plan. What do you think?
Let's do it. So even though no deposit car insurance doesn't exist, you can still get cheap car insurance.
Yes. So the first thing we're going to do is gather information. So that means your driver's license, your vehicle identification number or your VIN, the mileage on your vehicle, your driving history, so info about any incidents you've had, and your payment method, probably a credit card, debit card, etc.
Yeah. And then you're going to want to get 3 to 5 different quotes from different companies.
Yes. Remember, don't leave that money on the table. Always got to know what's out there. So be sure to ask about low down payment options, auto pay and paperless, which can have small discounts associated, and any additional fees.
Yeah. And make sure you're getting the right amount of coverage and the right deductibles based on your car's value and risk.
And then pay the deposit and set up auto pay so you can get that discount.
Yeah. And keep the policy active. You want to avoid lapses in your coverage to protect your rate and future upfront costs. But yeah, everyone's situation is different. So do the best you can. All right, so let's wrap this up. The bottom line, no deposit car insurance isn't real, but there are lower deposit options.
Yes, the goal isn't $0 upfront. It's an affordable start and a plan that you can keep up with.
Right. Think of it like getting a rental, getting an apartment. You can't really move in for free, but you can find a place with a smaller upfront moving cost.
Yes, that's a really good comparison. Okay.
Thanks.
So yeah, compare, smart, read the fine print, and don't risk a lapse, please.
All right, guys, that's it for today's episode of No Dumb Questions.
Share this with a friend who's price shopping insurance.
And send us your questions using the link below.
Until next time, drive safe and save money.
See ya.
You are listening to No Dumb Questions, an Insurify podcast. This content does not constitute personalized financial or legal advice. This podcast is written, edited, produced, and recorded by Sarah Getman, Julia Taliesin, Riley Hines, and Sydney Harrell. Compare insurance quotes by clicking the link below.